Hello, welcome everybody. Feel free to take a seat anywhere. We're going to wait just a couple minutes to make sure we have everybody that's on the way to file, and then we will get started in just about 2 minutes. Thank you.
We're all saying this. Tell us a dad joke.
Science dad joke. What did the brother cell say to the sister cell when she stepped on his toe? Ouch, mitosis. It's not that funny. It's funny. Great. It's just about 1:30. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome everybody to our first Naturally Speaking after summer hiatus. This time featuring the awesome, amazing youth apprentices. For those of you who know me or haven't had the chance to meet me yet, my name is Brooke and I work here at I get to do so many fun roles, including being a wildlife biologist myself and getting to do some resource monitoring. My absolute favorite project I get to be immersed in is this one, working with the incredible youth apprentices who are in a joint role between being official park volunteers here at Cabrillo National Monument and benefiting from the management of the Ecologic Institute. These girls have worked really hard on this talk and I'm really proud of all the effort they put into it. This is their capstone project for their summer apprenticeship. Naturally Speaking is a project of the science communication team. So this group of wonderful ladies have been trained in communicating science and best practices of communication in general. So hopefully you will see that today. But they are really the stars of the show today. So I'm going to pass the mic over to them to introduce themselves. They're going to be sharing their name, about how long they've been in the program, as well as their favorite or best memory in the Conservation Environmental Stewardship program or youth apprenticeship program so far. So I'm going to actually walk over here to start off with Miss Maya.
Hi, my name is Maya Nicolayo. I've been in CSAT for about 5 years. And my favorite CSAT moment is teaching the public on herpetology, which is the study of amphibians and reptiles. Hi, I'm Hannah Powell. I've been in CSAT for about 3 months, and I'd say my favorite part is probably radio telemetry.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Kalani, and I've been in the program for about a year, and my favorite part of the program is getting help out at Steam Bears in the community.
Hi, I'm Chloe Shaw. I've been in the program for about 3 months.
Hi, I'm Kate Wood, and I've been in the program for about 3 months, and my favorite thing is Mentorship Mondays, where we get to interact with amazing women in standard. Hi, my name is Elizabeth Lang. I've been in the program since the spring. My favorite activity is the Science Explorers Club unit, Rotary, where we get to learn about Apprentice features and what it tells us about habitat and diet.
My name is Chloe Lestick. I've been in this program since last spring, and I love learning about samples. My name is Sneaker Namadi. I've been in the program since spring, and my favorite part has been to teach the ecologic campers about tadpoles. Vivian Kavieski. I've been in the program for just over a year, and my favorite part has been participating in bird surveys.
Mr. Wong, and I've been in CSAT for about a year.
activity is the video commercials. Awesome. Thank you all for the introduction. We are going to be speaking in pairs today. So Maya is actually going to be kicking us off.
Okay, so CSAP is a program that is open to girls and gender marginalized youth between the ages of 13 to 18 years old, taking place here at Cabrillo National Monument. CSAP stands for Conservation and Environmental Stewardship Apprenticeship Program. This program allows for students to participate in different cohorts, working on different capstone projects, ranging from writing and researching academic papers, all the way to practicing real-life science communication to the public. Not only is this program an amazing opportunity for students, but it also helps diversify the STEM community. In 2010, the percentage of women in science was 38.75%. 11 years later, that percentage grew to be 43.5%, almost nearing 50%. While the percentage looks really high in favor, the percentage of women in color in STEM makes up less than 10% of people in the STEM communities, and the percentage of LGBTQ communities in STEM fields makes up about 8% of people, which is really small. So there's still plenty of work to do in diversifying STEM fields, which is why programs like Ecologic, which is a STEM camp that students can also attend, and CSAP are really important to our community. When I first attended Ecologic in 2021, only roles I had to reference was my mom as a cancer researcher and my cousin Leilani, who has just graduated from MIT with a master's in electric engineering. Not everybody is as lucky as me to have role models who encourage them to pursue science and push them out of their comfort zones. This is another reason why Ecologic and CSAP are so important, because here we encourage students to come out of their comfort zones, explore all different kinds of science, and then we provide real-life role models who students can connect with in real time. And on top of that, students can then find an amazing community of girls and gender marginalized people who can encourage them to pursue whatever STEM field they would like and uplift them in the future in their careers. A few programs CSAP has to offer are Ecologic and Apprenticeship Monday. Apprenticeship Monday gives apprentices the opportunity to speak to women in STEM over Zoom every Monday. The Zoom starts at 4 p.m. usually lasts about an hour. Sometimes the one presenting will bring a slideshow to present to the apprentices, or the apprentices can just ask questions at the duration of the hour. Questions often asked are what their day-to-day lives look like, or what's their favorite part of their career. Ecologic, on the other hand, is a free STEM summer camp for gender marginalized youth aged 10 to 16, and it's held at Cabrillo National Monument every single year. Cabrillo is a great place to excite the campers to want to learn more about STEM and the environment around them. It also provides a supportive community in an area of a workspace that is most of the time unsupportive, especially to the gender marginalized youth. Something that really stood out to me was the Women's STEM Fair. There were tables set up all around our auditorium, and the campers had the opportunity to learn about what each scientist did, build connections, and practice their networking. I spoke to a few of the scientists presenting, and not only were they passionate, they were also inspiring and intelligent with the way they spoke to the campers and the apprentices there. This was a great way for the campers to learn how important networking is, especially in a work field that has very little women in part of the LGBTQ community. CSAP itself was a great opportunity for girls or gender marginalized youth to dive deeper into STEM and outside of the classroom. Like Maya mentioned, we work on capstone projects every single quarter, and depending on your cohort, it may involve hands-on activities such as using equipment or collecting and analyzing data. The time apprentices spend working on their projects around Cabrillo gives them the experience of working close to successful entrepreneurs and connecting personally to the diverse outcomes we have in the programs. It also gives them a chance to experience what it may be like to be a scientist in this work field. I was never a camper, but I did have the opportunity to be an apprentice. And not only did I learn so much about Cabrillo's history, I was also able to personally connect and explore the trails we have here at Cabrillo National Monument. By the end of Ecologic, I was able to identify plants and animals along the trails, which impressed my family and friends whenever I brought them here. This was also a great way to inspire the community to conserve the habitats we have here at Cabrillo and show its beauty to its entirety. CSAP has been a great opportunity for me to not only get connected to a national park, it's also been a great way for me to stay connected.
Me and my partner, we attended ecologic summer camp, and then we became apprentices, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what went on during ecologic. During the first week of ecologic, the main focus was biodiversity, which is the concentration of life in a certain area. Another focus during the first week was learning about why Cabrillo is so unique, which is mainly due to its very high rates of biodiversity, with over 600 species of plants and animals found in the park. Another reason why Cabrillo is so unique is because of the climate here, which is called the Mediterranean climate. This climate is only found in 6 places in the entire world. Another focus during the first week was starting to build a community where everyone feels safe and comfortable. Throughout the whole week, we got to learn about how scientists collect data and do experiments in the park. We also got to take data on the biodiversity of plants using transects and other tools. Also, at the end of the week, we got to design and test out our own experiments in the park. All of the activities we got to do were very fun and interactive and got everyone involved. For example, there was a food chain activity where all the different campers were different species at Cabrillo, and we were all holding on to strings. If your species related to another person's species, you would hold on to their strings. And at the end of the activity, everybody was holding on to everyone's strings. It was a very fun, interactive way to show everyone that everything is connected. Another thing we learned about during the first week was about climate change and how that affected the climate at Cabrillo. Also, each morning we had a nature journal where we answered questions about the topic that day, which helped us gain a better understanding. We also learned how to journal using a method called Wormo, or I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. Another skill we learned was how to identify different species of plants, mammals, birds, and reptiles using guides that we had been given. This is one of the skills that I've gotten to expand on during my time at the apprenticeship and being able to identify different species without using guides. So there was one day where we mainly focused on birds and how you can find out where a bird lives based off of its features. We then, using the features we just learned about, got to create our own bird and use logic to explain what habitat it lives in and why. Overall, the first week was mainly used to teach about biodiversity, how scientists collect data at the park, and also how to identify different species of plants and animals. These are all skills that real scientists use, which is important because it helps inspire a passion for STEM. Also, another thing campus inspired us to do was to make connections, to be curious, to be bold, and to go out and use the tools we have been given to explore on.
Honestly, ecologic is one of the best experiences I've ever had. It made me open-minded, understanding, patient, and more interested in all three things. When my friend Johnson was told about the first night the camp started, about yellow. The campers seem to have a very good experience that not many kids get. It's not because they can't, because they aren't encouraged to. When these campers get to experience this, it can help them and inspire them to pursue these careers. These campers get a chance to learn about science communication, which is the process of using raising awareness about science topics to audiences outside of the science community. Nature photography, a wide range of photography taken outdoors and devoted to displaying natural elements. Number 5, monitoring different animals, such as reptiles, amphibians, and habitats, and geospatial science, which is a discipline that uses information technology to understand people, places, and processes, and also meet mechanisms. So, in my personal opinion, I think other people agree. This can have a very big impact. Teaching responsibility, open-mindedness, and show campers that they are able to pursue these kinds of careers as good as what they want. Now I'd like to expand on what they will learn during this. On day 6, they get to learn about science education, and we do their own presentations to the science education. On day 7, they get to nature photography, and the campers participate in actual nature photography and learn more about nature. We also get to learn about geospatial science, and we learn what it is like to work in a field and trunks of snakes over a period of time, and we get back into groups and we learn about. On day 9, we learn about purple fun monitor and want to know why it's important. And lastly, which is my personal favorite, along with STEM fair. This is a day that campers get to meet many women pursuers of STEM or involved in some way, such as herpetologists, biologists, or scientists, etc. This really inspired me and helped me believe that I can achieve something like that. That brings me to CSAP. So apprenticeship opens up opportunities, and an example of this is when I was able to peer review. We reviewed an article that was about diversity and with documentation jobs, who is a neuroscientist. I'm very glad opportunities like this are available, and campers can choose anything they can. And hope that if they choose to participate, they will have a very good influence.
Also at the Ecologic, on the last day, there's an exhibition where campers get to show off the knowledge and activities they did during Ecologic to park visitors and parents. In my experience, this is a very fun way to end off camp and really helps solidify everything I've already learned. Even after Ecologic was over, it still gave me many opportunities. I was offered a spot in CSAP where I could learn even more about the park. Some of the cool things I got to do were participate in a bird survey and help out with Ecologic. Another cool opportunity I got to go to was the Boss Symposium, which is a cool talk where scientists present info about projects they have been working on. All these different opportunities have really helped me explore different careers in STEM and really sparked a passion and interest in STEM. So our CSAP program focuses on place-based learning, meaning that we value learning from the space around us, like the environment and community we have here. And that makes Cabrillo the perfect place to host programs like CSAP, or National Park. From public speaking to visitors and volunteers, to going on nature walks and learning about scientific research, connecting to nature has been a really big part of my summer apprenticeship experience. So I joined the apprenticeship program a couple months ago, and the first thing I noticed was how green Cabrillo was, and how many birds and insects that were here that I've never seen in San Diego before. But right across the water, from all the flowers and greenery we have here, you can see our downtown skyline, which looks much more familiar to me. It surprised me that San Diego's natural environment, represented here at the park, is actually drastically different from the environment I had in mind. For example, I didn't know that Southern California had native bumblebees until I saw them here at Cabrillo. Since then, I've seen them near my house or by my school, but unfortunately never as frequently as I've seen them here. On the flip side, looking at common trees I've seen around town, but never in Cabrillo, like our eucalyptus trees and plum trees, and seeing that they're actually invasive has come to a surprise. Being a part of the apprenticeship program really opened my eyes as to how much urbanization has changed San Diego's natural environment, something I didn't fully grasp until I saw and experienced it myself. Having these STEM programs at the National Park is also healthy. By volunteering as a mentor at Ecologic Summer Camp, we all got the opportunity to go on nature walks, learning while outdoors, and getting to be a part of what we were physically be a part about what we were learning about, making it more impactful. And also, on top of that, CSAP has been a great place to meet a community of people who share love for the environment. There are Science Explorers Club cards where we share to the public about all the science being done at Cabrillo. I've learned so much more about our tide pools and birds and reptile life. On top of that, I've also gotten the chance to share this passion of the park with other visitors who come to bond over nature as well. Being around so many active and passionate STEM role models is empowering. Seeing all the work put into conserving our national park makes me feel as though stressful problems we face, like climate change, are less daunting and more achievable. In the end, having these programs as Cabrillo helps us connect with nature and understand the outdoors and recognize our precious environment and ultimately spark the passion to conserve it. So Kate talked a lot about the importance of connecting with nature, but how do you connect with nature? Would it be putting your phone down and trying to avoid technology? Since the digital age has started, we have become more and more reliant on technology, using GPS instead of maps for navigation, or using social media to learn about the latest news and updates. We can even use technology to visit places virtually, and this has altered the way we experience the world around us. Through CSAP, I learned that you can connect with nature by making mindful observations. At many times, this can help you learn more about natural processes occurring. For example, through the Science Explorers Club unit Build a Bird, I learned how you can look at the bird's feet, wings, and feet to learn more about its habitat and diet. So now whenever I see a new bird, I always make sure to look at those 3 features and see what I can predict about it. Another new thing I learned is how technology and nature can coexist. You don't have to pick one over the other. In fact, it's better to have a good balance of both. So as there are many examples. For example, through the app iNaturalist, people can take pictures of plants, record their observations, and share online to other scientists. And through radio telemetry, we can track animal movement. 3D printing can also be used to make biomodels. While 3D printing is a way of building 3-dimensional objects by building them layer by layer. Unlike a normal printer that uses ink, a 3D printer uses filament, which is a type of plastic. Through all these examples, I was able to see that technology doesn't have to be a distraction. In fact, it can be a powerful tool that helps us learn more about nature. And after learning about the importance of making these observations, I tried making some observations of my own, especially things related to chemistry, since I'd recently taken a chemistry class. One thing I was curious about were the algal pits, which I type of sea snail down as a tide pool. I wondered how the algal pits were able to stick to the rocks. Did they use a clamping mechanism, a suction, or maybe a sticky substance like glue? Further research, I found that they do secrete petal mucus, which is kind of like glue. And when you forcibly remove an algal pit, there's adhesive mucus that remains on the rock, and non-adhesive mucus that's still on the algal pit. These 2 types of mucus have varying amount of stickiness because they're made up of different types of proteins. And so an algal pit can control how sticky their petal mucus is by secreting different types of proteins. And this was really fascinating for me, sparking my interest in learning more about organic chemistry or biochemistry, and showing me how chemistry could be applied outside the classroom in nature. Besides Cabrillo's broad biodiversity, which helps us learn more about natural processes, it also has remnants of San Diego history. Every time I come here, I always enjoy visiting the Point Loma Lighthouse, or eating lunch under the giant statue of Cabrillo, or looking for the San Salvador ships out of the coast. And having a connection to these historical landmarks inspired me to learn more about San Diego history, like the indigenous Kenyan people here, or the age of exploration, where explorers like Cabrillo were able to come to America. Programs like CSAP have deepened my appreciation for San Diego history and fueled my curiosity to learn about STEM topics like biochemistry or organic chemistry. And it also taught me the importance of making observations, which can help us learn more about nature and connect with it.
What is the importance of having women and gender marginalized role models? Firstly, we all know that diversity can allow a wide range of new opportunities, new perspectives, new viewpoints, and new thoughts and ideas and innovations to a table. We need this especially like in fields like STEM or science. Why exactly do we need internationalized role models? Well, for the youth, this can send a powerful message. For me personally, having someone that looks similar to me or looks like me to be very impactful in helping me pursue the passion and love in fields like science. We need role models, especially because a research done by Study Engine has shown that girls through the ages of 13 and 17 are disencouraged or not lacking support to follow their pursuit towards science. This means that girls often through 8th grade are often either lacking support from teachers or parents, having a lack of role models, having a lack of confidence towards the subject, or the lack of skills. However, for me personally, I was very fortunate to have a role model for me when I was growing up at a young age. And that person is none other than my mom. My mom is a very impactful figure for me, helping me to pursue my passion in love, specifically biology and marine science. However, my mom did not have a nice and supporting childhood that she gave me. I was originally born in Florida in a Chinese American household. She often recalls that there were science classes like physics and chemistry, there's often a lack of grades in the class. She says that it felt isolating and lonely to be the only girl in class, and she never really related or understood topics by male teachers or students. Sorry, okay. Male teachers and students. However, my mom overcame these challenges and obstacles for her true love and passion for science. She graduated from Emory University with a bachelor's in science and a PhD in UCSD in neuroscience. I know that I was lucky to have a supporting role model for me to help me grow my love and passion for science. But now my mom allowed me this window of opportunity to a science program, and that really helped me a lot in my acknowledgement towards science. Thank you.
So unfortunately, like what I said, there is a lack of inspiration for the youth when it comes to having multiple instead. CSAP is an amazing program this because CSAP allows for a variety of innovation, improvement, STEM, and build genuine as people. And this really can help ignite the passion and the interest to further pursue this interest. This is where I had like a full circle moment this summer because I remember when I was a kid, I came to Cabrillo and I came to the time books and it was really cool to be able to I was very interested in it. And this summer I was able to like eco logic camp help teach the campers about the time books. So it was really cool to be able to be in the position. So that's really awesome. And diversity and representation in STEM is another big issue. I think good representation in STEM can help with a young girl's like interest in science conservation, and it can really help build your confidence. This also ties into diversity because when you have the diversity in an environment, it is more impactful with the work that you do, and having all those voices at a table being shared really brings a wealth of perspectives. This helps to keep the work environment positive, which is something that we really like at Cabrillo. It's also worth noting that Cabrillo had a fully functioning female research team, and so a little bit ago, this shows the importance of gender balance because as much as it was important to have the full, like, to support the female research team, it's important to have the gender balance, which is why we recently invited a male member. So as much as we're supporting the female 16, we also are supporting gender, which is fine. Thank you.
So I joined CSAP last summer, which was the summer before my junior year of high school. And for a lot of students, that's a really pivotal time as they start to think of like what they might want to study in the future and where to go. And for me, CSAP has really been about expanding my view of what is possible. I've learned a lot about different career opportunities that I didn't know existed through workshops, symposiums, and especially hands-on research. So I've been really lucky to have the chance to participate in hands-on research here at the park, where I've gotten to contribute to the scientific database of Cabrillo National Monument. So this has been through a variety of projects, including a technology project that I completed last quarter, where we collected data on the native plants and pollinators, their different stages and life cycles. I've also been able to participate in shorebird monitoring and tadpole monitoring, which has been very interesting in terms of developing my personal skills in field research and as well as gaining valuable data for the park. So San Diego is located on the Pacific Flyway, so monitoring our bird populations is very helpful to monitoring worldwide even avian distribution and weather patterns. And our tadpoles are protected, but this is not the case for a lot of tadpoles in California. And so the health of our tadpoles can be monitored and used as a baseline for other tadpole communities. We've also had the unique opportunity to participate in lab research, and I'll tell you about that.
So although rare, research projects can typically be a really defining moment for a student to find out their passions in STEM, and for us, the Boss Institute was no exception. As an organization, Cabrillo National Monument partners with the Boston Institute, where they serve as our wet lab in analyzing genetic material, notably for our work on Strauss agave. As lab apprentices, we are given the unique opportunity to participate in a rigorous pre-college program hosted by the Boston Institute, which Vivian and I both took full advantage of. We were given a full scholarship for a program that would have typically cost thousands of dollars to participate in. And when we were actually there, we were able to gain so much more knowledge about research, as well as gain hands-on experience and learn what it means to be a scientist. For our topic, deep sea fish metagenomics, which also was the topic of our course, we went through each step of the scientific method meticulously, from dissecting a viperfish sample to sequencing viperfish DNA through PCR and nanopore technology. After analyzing our data and presenting the results at a research symposium, we were both able to get a much wider scope of what it means to be a scientist in our day-to-day lives, as well as what it means to truly do research. For me personally, I learned a lot more about the field of biology, which was a field I've been interested in ever since starting this program. By actively engaging myself in a laboratory setting, I was able to see much more about what it means to be a young woman in STEM, as well as what it means to be a scientist in the future. This didn't just mean learning how to dissect viperfish samples or learning how to use the micropipettes. It also meant learning what it was to be a scientist in my day-to-day life, from showing up to the lab on time to actively applying my learning into the experiments that I conducted with Boz. And this really meant that for me, the Boz Institute was my first deep exploration into what it means to become a woman in STEM, and also what it meant for me to be a scientist for 10 weeks.
For me personally, the Boz experience was very pivotal in terms of figuring out what I was interested in pursuing in college and beyond. And I found out that maybe being a fish scientist isn't for me, but I was definitely very interested in data analysis. And I think even knowing maybe what you're not interested in is very important. And also the skills that I gained from that experience will certainly be transferred into any future career in STEM.
There's another activity that we'd like to address that really gives a lot of young students a lot of enriching experience when it comes to exploring their passions in STEM, and these are workshops. I'm currently a high school junior right now, so for me, it's really important to find out the careers that I'm interested in, as these could be what I might do in the future. And I find that workshops give me a really great opportunity to do this. Workshops give students a really nice hands-on approach that typically isn't just offered in a high school setting, and they give really valuable lessons that for me, I know I'll carry with me forever.
So I remember my first workshop with the Ecologic Institute, and this is on radio telemetry. And I remember that as I held that radio receiver in my hands for the first time, just how much of a valuable opportunity this was for me, that I was able to work with so many scientists and gain so many amazing role models just by gaining that research from doing this one workshop. And the Ecologic Institute actually extends this experience to a 2-week summer camp hosted with the Ecologic Institute, where young women all across San Diego County can come and learn from a large variety of women in STEM and gain hands-on experience through many workshops throughout the day, as well as gain a lot of experience in what it means to become a scientist. And in fact, many of the CSAP apprentices you see here today are actually alumni of this summer camp, and they're introduced to the CSAP program from there. Although we were never actually campers, this summer we were still given the amazing opportunity to act as mentors for this past summer's cohort of young scientists. And it was incredibly inspiring for all of us to see how these young scientists became so enthused by conservation, as well as what it means to actively participate in the fight against climate change.
As Claire mentioned, we got to be mentors this summer, which was very inspiring to see the next generation of young scientists. And especially it was a full circle moment for us as we saw our younger selves in these young students. And it was very rewarding to be able to be part of their journey to be future leaders in STEM. Thank you.
Awesome. Can we really quickly give it up for the youth apprentice? They are now available to answer any specific questions you have about their experience in this program. You're more welcome to ask questions to the group or to an individual who said something that maybe resonated with you. Dan, you want to ask your first question? I can pass the mic.
So I'm wondering, you all did such a great job up here. I'm wondering how much public speaking experience you might have. Is this something that you do on the regular, like giving a talk, or is this your first time doing it? And this is just for anybody who feels like answering.
Awesome. And a youth apprentice that wants to answer this question, Coco.
I actually have some public speaking experience. I was on my school station debate team, but I did one competition and they were really unorganized. So I really had a lot of opportunity. But this has been really great. I think public speaking is something really should be learned and worked on, and this was very nice.
Is there any apprentices here that maybe it's your first time ever doing something like this? You just raise your hand. Well, it's our very first time ever public speaking. That's awesome. What are the other audience questions we might have? Yes.
How do you get to participate in the Boss Institute? Ability or something like?
Vivian or Claire, does one of you want to answer this question?
So we actually heard about the Boss Institute when we joined CSAP, and because Cabrillo National Monument partners with the Boss Institute, they're basically our lab. It means that as CSAP apprentices, we can like sign up for the Boss Institute, as well as receive a full scholarship to their college programs. If you're interested in applying, they're currently hosting their fall quarter applications on their website, so you can definitely go check it out.
Yeah, this is an experience that's open. It's experience open to the public, but the scholarships, full scholarships are reserved for CSAP students. So it's really awesome that they get this opportunity to benefit from that relationship that we have built. What questions do we have? Over here.
What type of statistics do you guys use to like monitor samples?
So what kind of methods do we use to monitor tide pools? Okay.
One of the methods we use are quadrats, where a square with strings and measure where strings that are coming horizontally and vertically, where they meet on the tide pool section. We'll like write down what animal is right there, and it's a way for us to be able to take big like research.
That's
They need to like.
that's
make it really small. So
that's like,
that's,
yeah.
like, as you remember before, like a bunch of pieces and use that.
Great answer. Dan, do we have any questions from the Zoom room? No? All right. Any other audience questions? Yes.
I just want to thought everybody was very informative. I love everything. The bird lover, particular. Of course, just in one minute, somebody. Those are the teacher who said about birds being was people just like just a little bit of bit there.
Or you can certainly repeat it.
Yes. So we were wondering about the specific features of a bird that can tell you about their habitat. Did any of our apprentices here want to remind us what those features are? How do they tell us where a bird's habitat is in the world? How does it tell us? Megan?
So the three features are the beak, the feet, and the wings. And so the beak will tell you a lot about the diet. You can tell maybe if they're carnivores versus if they're herbivores, if they eat nuts, that sort of thing, based on the thickness and sharpness. The feet, based on if they're webbed, semi-webbed, or not webbed. You can tell what kind of environment they're used to, as well as if they're perching birds, they'll have like a toe impact so they can grip. As well as the wings, which can again tell you about if they're water birds or not, if they have specific oils to be water repellent or not. Those are things.
I'd also like to add about the beaks that usually cone shape would be the big seeds, whereas like predatory birds, they have really sharp beaks that can tear through meat. It's pretty cool how birds adapt to where they live.
And then I also like to expand about the wings. Sometimes the pattern is like specific. For example, it may be used to like in camouflage to like its habitat, or sometimes it has like a more colorful design for mating and like peacock.
Very excellent answer. Question from Lucinda. I'm going to curious.
Alright, so Addison and I were just wondering from any apprentice, what specific ecologic experience has impacted you the most and in what way?
Right, so we have a specific experience in ecologic or the CSAP apprenticeship that's impacted them that they'd like to share. Claire and then Joss.
So I think the most impactful for me would probably be the radio telemetry workshop. And a little bit about myself is that workshop was actually how I was introduced to the Ecologic Institute as a whole. So after going to Miss Sam's radio telemetry workshop, I was really this year, and then it took me to ask if there are any opportunities I would continue to do. And that was how I got introduced to CSEP as a whole.
Personally, for me, when I was at Ecologic, one of the days that I thought was really cool was the nature photography day, where we got to go out and take photos of nature. This really inspired me to like start taking photos of nature. Like I went home, I told my parents about it, and I was really excited. And then I went. There's a canyon right next to where I live, and I went and took photos. And it really inspired me to get into nature photography.
I think at Ecologic Care I have to say like just learning about plants. Before really was only interested in marine biology and then I was exposed to other types of sciences. So learning about plants and adaptations was really cool. I would honestly like to study at some point too as well.
Any other youth apprentices want to address that question? All right, what other questions do we have? Yes.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much. I think it was a fantastic summary of what you do. I want to follow up a little bit on the radio telemetry because several of you mentioned that, and I would like to understand how you actually track the animals. Are you tagging them somehow with sensors, or how do you do that? You know, many of you mentioned that's curious.
So I actually got to teach about this at Ecologic. So what we do is we tie the animals with a radio collar. So on one end, they have the radio transmitter, which sends out radio waves. And on our end, we have a radio receiver, which is shaped kind of like an antenna. So we have kind of a lock shape, and this is what our antenna is. So then we would turn it to the collar number, and each collar has a specific number, almost like your radio would have. So when we turn our channels to listen to the radio, like we listen to 91X, that would be the specific channel number. But then for our animals, we turn the channel number to say 11, and that's to that specific animal. And then we'd be able to hear the radio waves coming through to our radio receiver, and we just follow it. And as we get closer to our animal, the beeps get louder. And so at one point, when we get really close, the beeps are over, sound super loud. That's when we can change the range on the radio receiver, so that way we can get a more accurate reading. Yes. So with this experiment, especially at Ecologic, we mainly talk about snakes. So actually, I'm not totally sure if we use the radio collar for that one, but we don't. Okay. Snakes, at least, are campus. I just put a little collar on them. It's like a little shaped transmitter. I actually don't know. That would be a good question to research.
Yeah, so response, Maya. So we're using a radio transmitter and a radio receiver to listen for that particular. Listen.
Okay, so Lucinda and I were also wondering what kind of skills that you gain from Ecologic do you use like in your everyday life if you do?
Awesome question. Any skills from Ecologic or the apprenticeship program that you use in your everyday life?
As I mentioned before, I live right next to a canyon, and I saw a lot of the plants at Cabrillo, and I found out how to identify them. And then so I would go with a walk with my parents, and I would just like learn how to identify these different plants. I'd be like, oh, look, that's black-top buckwheat. That's at Cabrillo too.
Identification.
I would also add a lot of science communication skills. So, like being able to communicate with campers, you really have to simplify material. But in order to be able to simplify material, you have to have a really strong understanding in it. And I know that transfers over to a lot of subjects at school as well. So now when I'm studying, I find the best way to do it is to kind of synthesize the material by explaining it to a young student, and it really helps me personally. So apprentices, and we know we have MJ and I know that we have quite a few who have already talked about science communication. I hear from some of the newer ones. What does science communication mean to you?
To me, science communication is honestly just like talking about things that aren't like talked about enough, like that people really need to hear to understand. Like people are always like talking about climate change, and that's like bad, but we don't talk about how to help fix it that often. And I think it's just like a great way to bring awareness to things that are like just like only spoken bad upon, and not actually like how to change it.
Anyone else? Kate, Elizabeth, what does science communication mean to you? Good try.
Kind of like Vivian was saying before, science communications like explaining things, and a lot of times explaining a science topic also helps me understand it because I have to explain it in a way so that I don't skip any steps. So I know wherever I look in this section, and also make sure I understand all the vocabulary because a lot of times some of the lingo that we use for a certain topic, I have to kind of translate it into something that everyone can understand. So a lot of times I feel like science communication is a way that can also help me understand a science topic.
I'm very sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot again. Elizabeth had a really cool opportunity this past summer to participate in two different cohorts. So in addition to the science communication team, she was also in a leadership focused cohort. And so a skill I didn't hear any that was mentioned today, but we definitely work on is project management. So Elizabeth was part of an inaugural group running our very first ever STEAM picnic. So why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with project management and putting together this really awesome event we had this last weekend?
Yeah, I definitely did learn a lot about how to like attend an event and like advertise it, especially with mentions like this thing and a mirror in the meeting. So I could tell probably done it before and have a lot of great tips. And so kind of making this very organized, and making sure that you have like all the supplies you need or having a planned out schedule. And I also learned the importance of like advertising the event, like posting things regularly on Venture Unified or like your newsletter. And then also learn about fun activities that would be appropriate for the event. For example, this event was specifically to like bring alumni from the camp, so something it's like a group project that everyone can work on that also helps them kind of review the topics that they're doing.
Have time for a few more questions. Dan in the back here.
We got one.
On Zoom.
So Malia on Zoom says, amazing job. Thank you so much. Did you learn anything or experience something through Ecologic or CSAP that you didn't expect to take away from the program?
Something you didn't expect to bring to the program. To trust and Maya.
Well, this isn't something that I learned, but during the nature photography day, I was taking a photo of a bush and then I was walking in a path and then we looked back and there was this huge rattlesnake that was just sitting there across. It was really cool. For me, it wasn't like really something I learned, but it was more something I learned about myself. This gave me the opportunity to explore other STEMs fields, which I already said, but truly I was only interested in marine biology before. And through this, I got to learn about herpetology, which I never would have looked at before, ecologic. I also got to look at plants, which once again, I really never would have looked at. So this gave me an opportunity to explore different STEM fields, but also learn about myself and what I think.
Anyone else? Kate.
I, for some reason, didn't think that there was so much like public speaking and communication in science, which I just really wasn't expecting that. I came into this thinking it was going to be a lot of hands-on science, but I learned so much more, I think, through like how to public speak and how to communicate through science.
I'm glad I learned that it's like gaining confidence and like confidence in my knowledge of science and stuff like that. And like being able to teach.
Please, when I address that question. Yeah. And then Chloe, okay, I'll do Chloe and then Hannah.
When I first joined Ecologic, I was not interested in something. My parents were actually the ones who encouraged me to go, and I'm very glad I did because before everyone was doing all of this is and just making. I'm kind of going off what Kate said. I also learned like how important it is to like communicate to other scientists, because I think if we wouldn't have that like opportunity to talk like about research and like the stuff we find, then there would just be so much like repetitiveness and like a lot would be like as much wouldn't be like getting done. So I think it's also important to mention how important it is to like talk to like your like peers or like the people you're doing the research with.
Yes. Yes, Sophia. you have any of our apprentices not in this cohort in the audience as well to support their peers?
Well, I never drink. How many times do you use the scientific process in your everyday life?
How do you use the scientific process, or how often do you use the scientific process in your everyday life? Such a great question. Science is all around us, right? It's everything we do. It's the weather, it's the cells that make up our bodies. How do you guys use science in your everyday life? Vivian.
I would say I personally do a lot of cooking. And so science is very prevalent in that. Like when you're baking, it's basically just chemistry. Um, so like your ratios and different ingredients is really important. And I'm also really interested in like fermentation. So I have like a sourdough starter. And so that's really cool to see the scientific process when you add like you can actually see it producing carbon dioxide bubbles, which is really interesting. Also, I would say for sure in school, when you're in science classes, but as a lot of people have mentioned, when they're personally outdoors, like hiking or just being in nature, you can use the scientific method to ask questions about your environment and subsequently either research information or collect your own data and find answers to your questions.
Anyone else got a question? Yeah.
Well, as for scientific method, that's a hard one. I do want to say that we use technology in our everyday lives. Our folks are computers, especially in school, when we type up our projects. So in that way, we are always like, it's been so easy to use technology. For the scientific method, I was also going to say like cooking kind of. But I guess just when you're doing regular things every day, we're observing and we're trying to find, wondering why, especially in school, we're always in scientific schools.
I get a question back here.
One of the speakers mentioned that there had been science classes with only men. And I wanted to find out what you guys, ladies, you wonderful people, what benefits have you had from being able to be surrounded by people close to your own age who are all interested in science, or social benefits, or any other kinds of benefits from that?
So what has been the benefit of being in a program with other female and gender marginalized youth around your age? Start with Coco.
To be with people who like share the same passion for love science. It's really nice because you can have like connections, make new friends, make those connections that I wouldn't usually make in like school. Because I mean, personally, in many of my schools, people I see here about science, or like don't really be active in my biology class. So it's nice to see people who share the same passions.
I'm gonna say something from school. It offers many connections, like usually like, when you're just out of high school or talking with your friends, they're not interested in topics or science. So when you get into a program like this and you meet other people who are interested in this, it's easier to take up a conversation and you get to learn more. It's just
Personally for me, my mom's one in STEM. I didn't mention it, but she is. And sometimes she would like tell me something that like I would like learn like something new about, like salad or whatever. But that was not sorry. And like when I try to like tell my friends about it at school, they just wouldn't really fully understand what I was talking about. And I think it was just like really great to be able to like
speak to people like who would understand like what I'm speaking about and like why I'm like passionately speaking about it. And so like being able to learn from them just as much as like they might learn from me. I think that was really like cool to see.
Anyone else from Zoom? Let's go twice on audience questions.
I was wondering how long you all have been part of the CSAP group.
So we can just kind of pass the mic this way and share how long we've been in this program. We have a huge variance in this group actually from being part of this program for several years to being part of this program only a few months.
I've been here for about 1 year. Just over a year. Since spring. In the spring. Also since last spring.
Thanks since last spring.
Also spring. That's for about a year.
Since spring.
About 5 years.
Amazing. Really quickly before we transition, I wanted to highlight one member of our group that to me is a really awesome example of the power of gaining confidence and also not being afraid for gaps for opportunities. So Niku, recently I'm kind of she's had a really cool experience. She came into the program really interested in marine biology, like she mentioned, having come as a kid, starting to experience the tide pools and wanting to find out like what are different career opportunities in marine biology and how to like craft a robust career out of that. So she actually cold emailed a lab at SDSU as a high schooler and got the opportunity to work in a lab among graduate students and undergrads, being the only high schooler in that lab. And so I had her as somebody who may really like to have that Buzz Institute experience. So she's going to be doing actually a different project than Vivian and Claire just did last winter. She's about to start the project looking at local fish embryos and seeing how pollution has changed the development of those embryos. So I was wondering if you could just talk just a little bit about the cool experience you're about to have and maybe some of your experience at the SDSU lab.
So I was recently offered the Boss Institute by Miss Brooke, and I'm actually pretty busy, so I really wouldn't think that like I was able to figure it out. But I was very lucky about with Miss Brooke, I was able to get accepted to the Boss, so I'm really. But for the summer, I had a lot of free time, so I emailed a professor from SGSU working with them just to be able to gain experience and just spend time in that environment. And he answered and said that I would be able to go in. And he was like saying how since I am 15, he was like, this is a big city. He told us my parents like we're gonna be doing work. And I picked on really easily. I would go to field research and do research, and by the end of the summer, created that relationship with that scientist at SJSU, and he was trying to connect me with his friends. So I was lucky enough to also keep his contact to be able to have that, and I was able to gain all the research things. They let me do things independently. I was able to gather the DNA of the water and near the airport to the water, took samples with making sure it was like really clean. We did all the steps and we're sending them that water to a lab in Canada to see what DNA we have. So that was a really cool thing I could do for that.
For sharing that. So for myself as a young scientist, the barrier for me was never interest in science. It was always confidence. So I'm really lucky I get to work with all of these youth, not just on the scientific skills. We do all of the hard stuff, the collecting the data, the analyzing it. But I think one of the most key elements is working to build that confidence. So I was just wondering if we could give this group a round of applause for being so confident. So thank you for being a subject matter experts and sharing your wealth of knowledge with us today. And we'll have the apprentices stay up front just for a little bit in case anybody wants to come up and ask individual questions. But for now, thank you for attending our first naturally speaking talk of the fall season, and congratulations to these amazing apprentices on all of their hard work.